Joined by Commissioner David Clanachan on the day he is awarded the exclusive CPL rights to Windsor, Essex County, and will step down as the first Canadian Premier League Commissioner. David, first of all, thank you. A pleasure again to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. We'll get into your role in the 4 years of as Commissioner in a second, but this is a really exciting day, I know, for a community that you know really well. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling very good. It's always been, a bit of a goal of mine. I talked to when Scott Mitchell and I first talked after I met the Board of Governors when they were going to start the league. I said that I would really kind of like to be able to have and be part of my own club as well. So I'm, and it's a passion project for me because, obviously, being awarded the exclusive rights to Windsor and Essex County, it's a great spot. I mean, it's where I grew up. I went to school down there. When we immigrated from Scotland, that's the only place I knew in Canada, and it's a damn good place to be from, truthfully. And I think it's and I played football there for years and years and years, KJ. So at the end of the day, to me, it's a great opportunity to do something down there, and I think it's a great spot for fandom and supporters, and I think we'll be able to build something really, really great there. But I mean, hey, listen, there's a ton of work to be done, as you know, but I'm very excited about it.
I'm sure you are, and maybe on that, there's no timeline on this, right? I know it's going to be a massive story there and they're going to be very excited about this, but maybe you can talk a little bit more about the untapped market there, their love for soccer and the fact that they would have had to travel hours on hours to watch professional soccer, and now hopefully they don't. And then maybe just get into a little bit in terms of the timeline, if there is anything there.
Yeah, I mean, the market itself, I mean, if you take away the U.S. border, which these days is difficult, but most people don't realize between in about a 45-minute radius from Windsor, there's over 5 million people because of that border, right? And so very interesting. There's a tremendous amount of great population down there. I know the market because I see the passion for our game of football down there, right? And so that to me is very important. It's very difficult for people to travel. The closest they can get to see a professional football league game is if they don't want to cross an international border, then they've got to come up to Hamilton or York United, right? So either Forge FC or York United. So, but I think there's such a great opportunity down there for the game, and we need to be able to do that. And so, and again, it's not a town that's full of a lot of professional sports. There's really the only professional sport down there is, well, it's semi-professional, which would be the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL, right? So, and I know the owners of that club, and they're great people too. And the people down there, they appreciate sports and they understand how important it is to our society, but more importantly, how important it is to our entertainment.
Yeah, no doubt. The Spitfires are a tremendous franchise. Well, a really good comparison. On the future, or the imminent future, David, what is on your plate right away for that? I know you'll want the, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the soccer-specific stadium and things like that. There's a lot of work to be done here over the next few years, I'm sure.
Yeah, but having said that, as they say, the bones are there. So we've got the structure. It's available. So we know we can do it. There's lots of interest. It's going to take some time. The very first question that people want to ask me is, so what do you think? What's the timing look like? I think it'd be being realistic, knowing that we're in 2022, KJ, and knowing that we're still dealing with this COVID thing that seems to be, this yoke that's around our neck, so to speak. I think 2024 is probably is an ambitious target. Would love to have a team playing down there prior to the World Cup in 2026 when it comes to North America, right? So I think that's a good place to be. It'll take time, but I have a bit of an inside track. As I said to someone else, I love the product so much, I decided to buy the company. Well, a part of the company, let's call it that way.
Right. No rush, right? All about getting it right. So you set the foundations for a long time. No point jumping in early, then it obviously getting later complications. So I think you know that better than anybody. And that gets me on to my next question. Having been at the forefront of this league now, 5 years ago, it was a dream, right? Now it's a reality. You were appointed the first commissioner of this league back in 2018, oversaw the successful launch of the league, the expansion to 8 markets that have now been further enhanced as well in different markets. How do you look back in this, in terms of this tenure, and how it's really changed and so much in terms of coming from a plan to execution?
Well, the first time that I had the conversation with Scott Mitchell, we honestly, it was a pipe dream. Like, I looked at it and went, okay, I don't know, whatever you're smoking, we'll see how this works. But the reality was, I was very excited at the time, because, he knew he was pushing the right buttons with me because of the amount of time I spent in the game myself. And I'm probably, as you are, we all consider ourselves some of the biggest fans in the world, right? So I was ecstatic about it. Having said that, it's once that goes away, and then you start to realize what you don't know and what you need to do. That was very interesting. I do know this, though. We did some great things, because at the end of the day, we always challenge ourselves to be innovative, creative, to push the boundaries of where we should be with this, to really enhance the league by being transparent and using storytelling to get our message across. But it's very difficult when you have 2 years of a pandemic. That wasn't part of my playbook when I first decided to join. Having said that, knew right away that from a business perspective and everything that I had learned in business over my life, you could never go dark with your customer / fan / supporter. Let's call it that. You have to be there for them. And that sometimes takes a lot of deposits. That's the investment part of it, right? And fortunately, our board of governors and our clubs did that, KJ. And I think that was important. And surviving was important, but not only surviving, thriving as a business. I think we've thrived through what I would consider the toughest times that I've ever seen in my adult life in this country. And to survive, for a new business to survive and thrive, I mean, I choose that word very, very clearly, thrive, right? Because we have, and we've pushed the game forward, and we've done our part. We're not going to take all the credit for it, but we've done our part. And I think you've even said that in the past. So I see now a game that's really taken a hold of this country for the first time really ever. Yes, it's happened in the mid 80s with the men's national team. Yes, it's happened with the women's national team in the last number of years, but not collectively, coast to coast, where this thing has really taken root. And I think the important thing here now is to protect it, right? And continue to develop it and build it. And I think we're there. We are moving forward. You and I have had conversations about growth and the ability to expand. We're there. We're all over it. Whether it be the CPL, whether it be what we're doing with League One across the country, those are things that just will not go away, because it's so important for us to build this ecosystem, right? Because that's what just everything else spins off of, right? So
yeah, great point.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to get into a little bit more about what you think the league's going to do in the future in a second. But I want to add, I think one of the key foundations of your tenure and the leadership that you brought was the strength and the pathway for young Canadian players. This is the Canadian Premier League, but we do know some leagues around the world have that name on at the beginning of it because it's where they play, but they don't have a lot of players playing from that country within it. I think it was very easy to think when people started this league that people were going to throw $50,000, $100,000 at a 36-year-old international from you name the country, and they're going to come over and finish their career here. And that never was the case. And I think that's really important, is it not, that this league maintains its Canadian, bloodline, so to speak, throughout the teams, and obviously all the under 21 minutes and all the rules in there. It is very, very Canadian as you depart the league as a commissioner.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is. I mean, if you look at our rules alone are one thing, and everyone understands the rules of only 7 internationals, but the reality is our clubs have typically less than that, and they start more Canadians in every game than a lot of other clubs would even think of starting home players. This is the way you build great leagues, right? I mean, you build them by the people that are in the country today. They need to aspire to get to that next level, and if they feel that they're closed down, they'll go find other things to do. There's too many distractions at those tender years between 15 and 19 when they're deciding, do I have a chance to make this happen? not everyone wants to go overseas. It's not as romantic as what people think going overseas. There's less chances, but more importantly, it's very difficult to take a youngster away from their family and say, oh, go halfway around the world and go play a game. Don't know anybody, speak differently than other people, and you'll be okay. I've talked to many people that have done that, and over a pint will admit to you they cried themselves to sleep many a night when they were first doing that. We needed to do that and seed that in this country, and we're going to continue to do it. And I think it's very, very important. As much as the professional league is paramount for its success, is what are you doing in the next levels down? Because you need to create that. It's a pathway, right? And you need to make sure that pathway's solid right across. It's got to be built on concrete. You have to be standing on concrete all the way through. And I think we've done a good job of that, and we're going to keep doing it. For me, and you and I are both immigrants. It would be easy for us to go back to our roots of where we came from and say, it's never going to be as good as there. Oh, I got an idea. Let's build it as good as there or better. We have an opportunity to do something different, right? So we don't have to. We can learn from what others have done and create even better. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we do that well in Canada.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Great points. I want to ask you a little bit about expansion and why you feel the league is going the way at the right speed, right? Ottawa came in as the 8th one in 2020. You've since announced, obviously, they're awarding a conditional franchise to Saskatoon. Vancouver's coming in 2023. We know others will be coming as well. It's important that they continue to build going forward, but gradually, David, rather than just coming all in.
Yeah, you need, everything requires us. There's a timing to it, right? And one of the biggest things is, where do you play? At the end of the day, you got to have the right places, and soccer specific stadiums. No one wants to ever say this out loud, but the reality is you need some soccer specific stadiums. At the end of the day, today's fans, they're looking for, it's an entertainment, right? It's entertainment. It's not, they expect more out of it. And so they should, and they're seeing it in other sports as well. So I think, it's got to be measured and at a pace that makes sense. The league can handle, but also let's remember, you're bringing on new young Canadians all the time, right? You want the next generation and the next generation to get into it. You just can't just turn the tap on, because before you know it, where does the talent come from? There's lots of talent in Canada today, but if you go too fast, it has to be measured, like in anything else you do in business. So I think, understanding how that happens. And that's one of the things that I'm going to, make sure that everybody understands that as I transition away from the role over the next little while, that you need that measured pace has to be there. You just can't go willy-nilly on this. That would have been 2019 when we started with 7 teams. But the good news is we have people that are patient, that are understanding, and we've got a great pipeline and people that are putting together packages and that we're talking to today. This is not pie in the sky. These are real life concrete plans that are being built, and we're happy about that.
A couple more for you before we let you go. And again, thanks so much for your time. The quality of the feet on the pitch. I know you and I have had conversations away from a microphone and on the microphone, but I know that has surprised you positively in a great way, hasn't it? That how quickly the quality on the pitch has gone from the beginning of the league to now, even during that pandemic.
Yeah, I look at 2019 and I look at 2019 and then I fast forward to 2021, and I can't believe how much the talent level and the level of competition has gone up. The fact that our second youngest team in the league, this is a plus point for our conversation about young Canadians. But the second youngest team in the league won the league this year,
right?
And did it over Forge FC, which is a team that's had success in CONCACAF already. Like, we're 3 years in, 2 of which were pandemics. One was in a bubble. So, that's really important that people understand that, and that's, to me, that's where we want to continue to focus is, how do we continue to do those things and make sure that our clubs continue to improve. I look at these players today, and I'm amazed at the skill level. Now, The coaches are fantastic as well. The technical staff, you can see the group, the league growing, and it's not all necessarily being done with international players. To your point, it's being done with Canadian boys that are doing a great job, and that's the next generation of heroes. And I see it with the fans in the stands when you see some of these young players play. They're faster. They're quick on the ball. They're creative in the way that they play. They are passionate about what they do, and they're being given the chance at younger ages, right? So I think, this is the more of that needs to happen, and as that competition continues to increase and rise up, we'll end up with some fantastic results. And again, I mentioned it. Next year we'll have Pacific FC in CONCACAF, and we'll also have Forge FC in. I don't think anyone ever thought that would happen in our first couple of years. I was amazed when I was getting phone calls after 2019 from people that I know in Europe telling me they were pleasantly surprised with the level of the league after 2019. And now you can see the interest that's here because they see the opportunity in this country. And I've always said this, when we focus, especially sport in this country, we're a big country geographically. We don't have a huge population, but when we focus on sport, we tend to move mountains, so to speak.
Right.
And I think we can do that here.
No question. Final one for you. The plaudits are already coming in on the, looking back on your time here as a commissioner. Dr. Nick Bontis, president of Canadian Soccer, said you leave a tremendous legacy for professional soccer in Canada. Bob Young, co-founder of CPL and obviously Forge FC, called you an incredible leader, builder, and passionate champion for Canada's soccer community. You've made a massive difference, David. What would your advice be if you want to share anything right now for your predecessor? And we know an announcement about next steps will be made shortly, and that's not coming soon. But taking on what you've already done and protecting it, what would your advice be for the next commissioner of the Canadian Premier League?
Oh, well, listen, at the end of the day, whoever takes on the mantra at the next one, they've got to run it the way that they believe it needs to be at the time. But again, listen to the fans and supporters. That's number one. Work well with the clubs because the clubs understand what's happening. They're the boots on the ground. And at the same time, I think we should always be, and this is what makes us different than a lot of other countries in general, is be creative and innovative, and don't be afraid to be different and push forward. I think that's important for us. I mean, we have this opportunity where we don't have a 100-year history. So we're writing our own history, KJ, and you know that. That's one of the things I love about the game in this country is we can respect the past, but we can write the future.
Very well said indeed. David Clanachan awarded exclusive CPL rights to Windsor, Essex County on the day he steps down as the first, and he will always be the first, Canadian Premier League Commissioner. We can't thank you enough for all the hard work you put into this. It's been a real joy, and we'll continue. We wish you nothing but continued success going forward.
Thanks, KJ. Take care.